The views expressed on this show do not represent those of NTV or its staff.
Good evening, viewers, those who are in Uganda and the diaspora. We are glad you have made NTV your number one station, and of course, NTV People's Parliament your favorite program. It is the only platform here in Uganda that gives citizens opportunity to speak about issues that affect their everyday life. Tonight, we are speaking about yet a very important topic, and that is corruption. Many Ugandans have referred to it as a cancer that is eating up our country. So tonight, we are discussing corruption. We are sitting here at the Auditor General's office to discuss something that Ugandans should report because it's their responsibility. And the topic is, anti-corruption agencies have done a lot in the fight against corruption, but it is still rampant. What more needs to be done? The question is to you. What more needs to be done to ensure that corruption is out of this country? I'm your speaker, People's Speaker, Agnes Nandutu. Honorable members, you're welcome to this parliament. I'm glad you have come in big numbers. The Auditor General's office is here, the IGG, the police. We are glad all agencies that have been fighting corruption are present here, and we are here to discuss what more needs to be done to ensure that corruption is at least reduced or out of this country. Before I get the ball rolling, I want to invite the Deputy IGG to give us a preamble of what has been done so far to ensure that corruption is out of our country. You are welcome, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and honorable members present this morning. I'll just make a few remarks about this program. By Resolution 58/4 of the 31st of October 2003, the United Nations General Assembly designated the 9th of December as the International Anti-Corruption Day. The anti-corruption agencies in Uganda conduct a series of activities to create awareness about the evils of corruption in commemoration of this day. Vision 2040 of Uganda identified corruption as one of the country's strategic bottlenecks, presenting a major challenge to development as well as a constraint affecting business in Uganda and citizens' trust in public office. Currently, the country is grappling with syndicate corruption, which is largely executed through individuals holding strategic positions designated to control expenditure in various government departments and agencies. The building of syndicates was a fight back by corrupt individuals against increased controls in financial management, which government had achieved through automation of payment processes. The emergence of this phenomena was made possible by collusion of key players across the ministries, departments, and agencies to exploit the loopholes in the system. I'll now just single out a few responses that we've heard from the agencies. Starting with the PPDA. In the previous year, PPDA investigated 79 cases of procurement fraud. This is up from 43 the previous year. The Auditor General's office set up a directorate called Forensic Investigation and IT Audits. And this was largely a response to the financial loss in the office of the Prime Minister that occurred a few years ago. So the directorate was formed in response to the need to address the increasing need and concern to have audit findings being more definitive and revealing and more amenable prosecuting bodies. But the directorate would also be able to respond to the challenges of government increasing use of IT, most particularly the Integrated Financial Management Information System, IFMS. In the previous year, 15 audits were conducted, including a comprehensive payroll verification audit, which resulted in the Ministry of Public Service deleting 15,000 records. They also unearthed the 165 billion payment that was made to ghost pensioners. The Auditor General has also recruited engineers, economists, procurement professionals, together with external engineering consultants who have undertaken engineering audits. PPDA came up with new initiatives to streamline procurement processes and introduced an online government platform for all procurement. The Inspectorate of Government has enhanced collaboration and partnerships with a wide range of stakeholders for the effective identification of administration of public corruption risks and potential loopholes in the management and administration of public office, which leads to loss of assets and wastage of resources. We've also strengthened the existing enforcement strategies, including strengthening detection, investigation, and prosecution as strong deterrents against corruption. So all our staff, we've actually created a directorate called the Special Investigation Unit, I think similar to the police. And the purpose of this is basically to respond to the syndicated corruption. I mean the big high-level corruption. So we've set aside a very big team, set up a special office, freed up their time to focus on big high-level corruption. Because one of the issues...
Have you registered success in that section?
We launched it, Madam Speaker. This was launched 2 months ago. Yes, 2 months ago. But already we see the speed of investigation has improved. They've identified, I think, 4 big cases. There are about 4 to 5 very big cases in the country at the moment. It's the UNRA investigation, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Local Government. There's a 4th one. Munira, maybe you could remind me. There are about 4. Okay. 4 to 5 big. And so we've asked the Special Investigation Unit to just focus on the high-level cases. Now, that doesn't mean that we are abandoning the small cases. We have also come up with other interventions. For instance, every year, the number of complaints has been increasing. In the past, we'd receive 1,000 complaints from citizens. It grew to 2,000. Now, I think we are approaching 3,000 complaints. Now, some of these are small in the grand scheme of things, and you know, there should be no small complaint. But when I say small here, I mean matters that could be solved at a different level, by agencies. You get cases from districts where 15, 20 people in a month say, our names were deleted from payroll. And they go to the agencies, to the districts, and probably don't get help, and they report to the Inspector General of Government. The Inspector General of Government, you may say, the money involved in deletion of a payroll is not much. But to the individual whose name has been deleted from payroll, it just means that the livelihood has been affected. So what we've now decided to do is when we identify high volumes and high incidents, then rather than investigating individual cases, we conduct what we call a system study, which is one of the mandates of the Inspectorate of Government. We go into the department, agency, or ministry and say, there are repeated cases of this nature. Can we address the root cause? So this is an approach that is helping. We've also strengthened what we call the ombudsman function. Ombudsman has to do with fairness. So we are encouraging ministries, departments, and agencies to each set up their own complaint handling mechanisms, to have their mini IGGs in their departments, so that every complaint doesn't have to be escalated to the IGG, because those are the kind of things that take a lot of time and divert us from focusing on the big issues. So if this campaign succeeds of setting up complaint mechanisms in every government agency, making sure that the mechanisms work people's problems are solved internally, then it will free up our resources to focus on the big issues. Madam Speaker, I will conclude my remarks by mentioning the Leadership Code, which is the third hat of the Inspector of Government. We wear three hats: the Ombudsman, the Anti-Corruption, and the Leadership Code. So we have continued to strengthen the enforcement of the Leadership Code in order to reinforce the government's priority to increase transparency and accountability. Next year, which is by March, we will be enforcing, in fact, we've already started enforcing the online declaration process. We have about 25,000 people who are categorized as leaders across the country, and each of them has been submitting to us forms, manual forms. We've now launched the online declaration process, and already hundreds, I think, of leaders have submitted their declarations. The advantage with online declarations is that with time, when we increase the capacity of the system, it can actually, the computers can actually throw up major contradictions in declarations. We are aware that not all leaders declare. What they declare is actually the truth. But over time, countries that have implemented this program have found that they are able to throw up contradictions in declarations and verification through the system. So we think that will help us. As I conclude, I want to talk about the JLOS. That is the Justice, Law and Order sector, which has also registered a lot of achievements. All the 17 JLOS member institutions, have been involved in the fight against syndicate corruption through institutionalizing and implementing the JLOS Third Strategic Investment Plan. They call it JLOS SIP 3. And both the JLOS Anti-Corruption Strategy, which is abbreviated as JSCS, and the National Anti-Corruption Strategies. So this is premised on a vision of a corruption-free society based on the rule of law, respect for human rights, and three core pillars that form the foundation and inform the strategic objectives, which is prevention, enhancing the sector's capacity to prevent, detection, to strengthen the sector to detect, investigate, and adjudicate cases, and punishment, to promote enforcement, the enforcement of effective mechanisms for punishment of those found culpable, and reparations for acts of corruption. Through this initiative, the number of cases being handled has been growing. I think by 2012 it was 40, it grew to 88 of abuse of office. Embezzlement really increased sharply from 59 in 2012, 212 in 2013, 254 in 2014, 2015 accountability. Then financial loss. That, the statistics show that it's going down from 90 in 2012, 84 in 2013, 77 in 2014. Conflict of interest cases have not really been many. Actually, by 2014, I think I registered 0, down from 3 the previous year. In total, 450 cases, 58 cases had been, corruption cases had been handled by the police. We could also talk about the Judicial Service Commission, which has registered, Judicial Service Commission has set up a disciplinary unit in the Inspectorate of Courts, and in financial year 2015, GSC registered 137 complaints against judicial officers and concluded 106 of these.
Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of evidence of the things that are being done.
Okay.
But Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to address and to give an overview of the activities of the anti-corruption agencies in the country.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, I think you have heard from the Deputy IGG what the anti-corruption agencies have done in the fight against corruption. But it's still rampant. What more needs to be done? Can I give opportunity to the Auditor General's office, please?
Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. As you can see, our vision and mission behind me, our role is to ensure that we improve accountability in the country. And we do that by ensuring that we follow standards. We carry out audits in the over 2,000 institutions across the country, including all central governments, all local governments, all statutory corporations. And then we also carry out what we call forensic investigations and IT audits, as stated by the Deputy Inspector General of Government. This is what we have done for the last 3 years, and I think we have related a lot with the CIID and with the IGG and the DPP in ensuring that we put very strong cases which can stand the test of time. I think you're all aware of the landmark improvement we had last week when we had the pension, 3 people. The case was nailed, Madam Speaker, and the court managed to convict 3 officers. And I think to us that was one of the most landmark things that we have had, and we are going to continue having more. We have, at the same time, related a lot with CIID and given them information that has enabled them to prosecute some cases, and the DPP as well. We, Madam Speaker, additionally carry out what we call value for money audits. We have about 80 to 100 value for money audits that we have so far executed over the years. And these audits improve on what government does. It is a long audit which takes about 3 to 4 years. It looks at what government is doing, what the weaknesses are in relation to what government is doing, and what government can do better to improve on the areas where we have found weaknesses, so that we as a country can benefit more. If, like this year, we've been given 25 trillion shillings is what government has been given to spend, how does it spend it? How does it use it to ensure that out of the 25, we actually get slightly more than the 25? We do recognize that there are issues and areas of corruption. And we do bring out these areas and bring out the leakages such that government can handle them. I think in we have a rate of around 6%, 7% of areas which we actually identify corruption and bring it to government for purposes of addressing. And these are in areas of misappropriation, unaccounted for funds, diversion of funds, diversion and mischarge of funds. We also have an area of compensations where we have issues that we want government to greatly handle. We have areas where government is paying a lot of interest in certain cases and not handling them the way we expect to handle them. So these are some of the areas of corruption that we bring out to government, that we want government to handle. So for us, Madam Speaker, what I can conclude in is that we have worked closely, as you have called us here. We have worked closely as a team. I think that is also a very big thing, that the anti-corruption agencies have started working together. I think 3-4 years ago, started working more closely together. There is syndicate corruption, there is also syndicate anti-corruption, to ensure that as we fight together. And we look and see who can handle this loophole, who can handle this one. What can you do in this particular case to ensure that we actually get a conviction in this case? What can we do in relation to addressing areas and new things that are coming up that probably we have never seen before? Okay. And also even relating to areas with other countries and ensuring that we have best practices that we follow in whatever we do. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Let's go for a short break, and when we come back, we shall hear more from the honorable members present here. Yes, welcome back. You are still watching your Number one station, NTV, and your favorite program, NTV People's Parliament, sitting here at the Auditor General's office, debating the cancer that is eating up our country, and that is corruption. The anti-corruption agencies have done a lot to fight corruption, but it is still rampant. What more needs to be done is the question tonight, and honorable members here are debating. What more needs to be done to ensure that we get rid of corruption?
Madam Speaker, honorable members, I'm Honorable Charles Felix Olarkir, representing Ministry responsible for local governments. We have 115 district local government. We have 41 municipal councils, 181 counties, 1,420 sub-counties, 202 town boards, and 178 town councils. By and large, these are body corporates. So you should appreciate that Ministry of Local Government has a very tall order to ensure that we fight corruption. And I can ably say that under the Ministry of Local Government, with the vision and the mission well placed, because our mission is to have democratic, accountable local government, which is able to transform this country in order to improve on the life expectancy of the people. So our mission is appropriately linked to vision of Uganda 2040. And if we are to drive and reach and transform this society from peasantry to a middle-class income, it requires a lot to be done by government of Uganda and Ministry of Local Government. I can also tell you that under Ministry of Local Government, we have what we call local government, good governance, and anti-corruption strategy. We have the public service standing order. We have the many reforms the IGG mentioned. For example, integrated financial management system. I don't know how many members here are aware of that and how it operates. One major issue here is to cascade to the local governments how best you can use. And we have done that. Under this system, there is a transparency, accountability in utilizing finance, what we call a single platform. And then under management of human resource, we have the IPPS, which has ably eliminated many ghost workers, and that is the work of collaborating together. And when we look at the integrity, the value we have, it is the same as the one of the core values the IGG's office is having. That means we are collaborating. But I would suggest that we should do more, and this is the way we should do it. Number one, we should have what we call system enforcement. Why do I propose this? We need to collaborate so that we work as a team. There are many bodies responsible as the intelligence for corruption. And also, think of change management. We are a small village now. This is a global village. So if there is no change management, we have that change of attitude. We are so resistant in the way we do things. So I'm proposing that we should have change management in the system. And also to enhance the different reforms which have been introduced in this government so that we are able to understand how best we can fight corruption. And I also propose what we call meet your leaders. Meet your leaders approach is under client's charter, where we have officers responsible for registering complaints, and also promoting barazas, where we go to the local governments, we make them aware of the resources they receive, how we are utilizing them. And this implies that we must do things in a coordinated manner.
Okay.
If we do all this, Uganda will be a bravo state. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I salute you all, the honorable members in this August House. I'm called Herbert Maemba. Herbert Maemba is attached to Mental and Reproductive Health Uganda, and more so, I'm from Manafa district. But the most important thing is that I wanted to mention Manafa district because we are let down, or we are behind due to the fact that there's a lot of corruption in Uganda. If you look around, there are a lot of procurements that have been made, and they are being made due or in favor of people that have conflict of interest. Somebody takes it on his side because he or she feels this is a project or a brand or whatever it might be that he or she is going to benefit from it. The second thing is there's a lot of nepotism. Actually, I think in America, they have what they call the anti-nepotism law. In our Anti-Corruption Act, we have, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at, I think Article 16, it talks about the offenses, offense and penalties, where we should charge people or incriminate people who are involved in nepotism. So, I think it's high time, as Ugandans, we should advocate for anti-nepotism law. Because what is causing a lot of problems is, there's a lot of, actually, it's all around. It's all around that if you do not belong from a certain group of people, I'm telling you, believe me or not, you will not benefit anything, however much small it might be. Actually, I'm a victim of that. As I told you, I'm from Manafa. We did interviews a few weeks ago. I scored 61%. And I strongly believe I was among the best 100 people. So when I looked around, I called a friend. Hey, what happened to the interviews? I seem to have been among the best people. He told me, you know what, Herbert? They chose the best 100. And I wish I would be given the opportunity to see those 100 people that were put among the best out of the people that did those interviews. Yeah. My conclusion is, the problem of Uganda is we have a moral breakdown. That's where the problem is. If you do not belong from X or Y, you're nothing. So I just want to say that whoever is responsible, whoever is on the top of this nation, should feel that we as Ugandans, however much we belong to different ethnicity groups, we should have an equal share of the national resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
2 minutes, please.
The August House, my name, I'm Honorable Bruhan Vyarhanga, coming from Kampala Capital City Authority, a chairperson of Legal Affairs, and also a councillor representing Kyambogo University. I want to thank the Office of the IGG for organizing this particular debate about corruption in our country, which we believe strongly it has become a very big vice. All efforts have been made to ensure that corruption is stamped out of our country, but there are also efforts that are being made deliberately to make sure that corruption doesn't get out of our country. Why am I saying so? When you look at our current setup, as
who are those people making the efforts to ensure that we don't get rid of corruption?
Us, the Wananchi.
The Ugandans.
Yes. Sometimes you'll find that people want to go around to shortcut the processes because they believe if they are patient and wait until the process ends, they'll not be able to get what they want in their time. Yet all the processes that we talk about, what government agencies, for example, are talking about the IFMS system. If you went out there, you will find that there are people who do not want this system to work as it ought to because they want things in real quick time as they want it without going through the due process. So I think ours is first and foremost is mind change and also orienting ourselves to be patient enough to allow government to do its part. Madam Speaker and members, I also believe that all the efforts that have been put in place by the agencies that are here today have registered successes, but we realize that there are times when politicians come out and politicize most of the issues. You realize that, if, for example, if you look at Madam Speaker, we have got the Whistleblowers Act, which gives any Ugandan, any citizen, the leeway to come out and report someone whom you think has abused his or her office or is misusing his power. And indeed, there are those who have successfully reported to the office of the IGG. Personally, as a leader, I've witnessed that from the area that I represent, Kyambogo institutions. But politicians will come out and begin demonizing the moment they learn of the fact that maybe Bruhan has reported a very close friend or someone who really supported and indeed campaigned for this person. Even if that person is in the wrong, they will never want to touch this person. So I think there's a problem with the politicians as well. Madam Speaker, you talked about there is what we call organized corruption. I've labeled it organized corruption. There are instances where you find government officials conniving with the would-be service providers, where they will want to go through the normal process, work through the normal documentations, but whatever processes that they are inputting there, for example, if you are bidding to offer a service to a public entity, they are going to input a certain fee, which is not going to go to the service provider, but the government officer. This one,
they call them kickbacks. Are they?
It has got so many names, Madam Speaker. And to this end, I want to request, as I make my proposals on the way forward, the office of the IGG and the other agencies that are responsible to come out with a mechanism of how they are going to curb this. because I happen to be representing an institution which has a government agency, and some of these things are real. So I think, unfortunately, I've not seen any of our legislators in this house tonight, but our parliament has got a very big role to play in as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. In 2009, they passed the Anti-Corruption Act. But then, if you look at the legal frameworks that we have today, they are not adequate enough. Madam Speaker and the members, if they suspect Burhan to have embezzled public money, according to the legal frameworks we have right from the Constitution, I'm presumed innocent until proved guilty. But you realize that very many people have gone ahead to hide into that particular aspect. If I have committed a crime, there must be a legislation either to freeze my account until investigations are done, so that anybody who intends to do a corrupt act is barred or is prevented from doing, so that all the others can learn from it. But where someone is going to be left to go because perhaps he has gotten a bail or a bond to go out there and begin performing his duties in the normal way. Madam Speaker and members, I think we shall be curtailing the efforts that are being put in by the IGG, by the Auditor General, and other agencies, including the Uganda Police.
It is your responsibility as a Ugandan to reject and report corruption. NTV People's Parliament comes back shortly. Yes, welcome back. You are still watching your number one station, NTV, and your favorite program, NTV People's Parliament, sitting here at the Auditor General's office, debating the cancer that is eating up our country, and that is corruption. Doctor, you're welcome to NTV People's Parliament.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, members in the August House, I'm called Kasima Stephen, Assistant Inspector General Police, representing Traffic and Road Safety Directorate in this August House.
Welcome.
What should be done? I want to give a case study of the Traffic and Road Safety Directorate. On 20th November 2014, that is about 2 years ago tomorrow, we formed a unit in the Traffic and Road Safety Directorate to address the challenges of extortion. You are aware that the Uganda Police leads, although I have reservations on the perception reports. Every report ranks the police number one. There is a year when they ranked Traffic Police number one and Uganda Police number two. And I wondered.
They separated you.
He separated us. That year, the Permanent Secretary, IGG, had even invited me when they were going to launch the report. Somehow I dodged attending because they were going now to launch that Uganda Police Traffic Department at that time was number one, and I know the cameras of NTV would be focused on me. So we have what we call in police PSU, Professional Standards Unit, but it is overwhelmed because it looks at the whole police force. So we thought pertinent that we can do it ourselves, and we have done it. In fact, it is now easy for us to enforce discipline, enforce the laws and regulations on the road without getting challenges. The other time, whenever we would start operations, they would tell us that we are looking for money. Now people are organizing to strike because of the tickets we are giving them. We used to take them to court, but we are no longer taking them to court because of some challenges. So we can do it. I will not give you details of what we do to get these people, but one of them is to get reports from road users and concerned citizens, and we go there, arrest them with evidence. We don't blackmail, we don't harass. IGP has been moving throughout the country he gets views. Traffic police is no longer. There are still elements, but it is no longer bad apple of Uganda police. I will give you, let me finish, then you can give information. So what we want is, where are we standing? Have we improved? We have not, of course, fought corruption by 100%. We are still arresting. It is now very difficult for a traffic officer to receive money on the road. They may be using other methods. But how are we standing? Because the perception we are getting from road users is that we have improved.
Okay.
So we are waiting anxiously to look at the perception reports by IGG, by Transparent International. If they rate us the same way they have been rating us, we shall object. in fact, we are developing tools to also carry out our own analysis. I've seen some of these bodies, they can support us, such that we also carry out a perception studies from the road users, and then we get morale and motivation to improve our performance. So what can be done? We can start at the institutional level. We should not wait for IGG, for CID, start and investigate us. We can have internal mechanisms to fight the vice, then the sky will be the limit. Lastly, I was reading a quote from some person who talked about corruption, that in order to fight corruption, 3 members of society are very crucial. The first one is the mother, the second one is the father, the third is the teacher. We must start from our homesteads by telling our pupils, our daughters and sons, to behave when they are in school and when they get jobs, so that they don't do what their peers are doing to amass wealth in a year or 2. Not otherwise, we are going to continue giving the IGG and other bodies a lot of work. Fighting corruption has never been easy. It is not easy as we talk, and it will never be easy in the future, provided we don't start teaching moral behaviors in our homesteads.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you.
I'd like to thank by appreciating the Office of the Auditor General for the work done. And then in her speech, she mentioned value for money audits, but I think we don't have value for office audits. Now, I'm looking at a scenario where out of 10 public servants, maybe about 5 of them are in office 5 days a week. And then when they're out of office, what are they doing? Are they on official duty or personal duty? I think there needs to be an investigation on that. And then another thing is the professional bodies. I think Ugandans need a sense of belonging. If I know I am an accountant by profession and I'm a member of the ICPAU, so I know that at the end of the course, there is going to be someone monitoring whatever I do as an accountant somewhere. But if I don't have that overall supervisor and I don't have value to my certificate of practice, I promise you that I will be tempted to swindle money somewhere, because I know no one is going to ask for it anyway. Thank you, Honorables.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Justus. I come from the Bible Society of Uganda, but I want to make a disclaimer. The views I'm going to put across are my own. So they are not representative of the Bible Society.
Okay.
We need to classify the concept of corruption. Sometimes we think we know, but we don't. It's like you are busy spending energies and money and resources to dry a tree, but you're only picking up the leaves. And there are some leaves you cannot reach. You forget that dealing with it, you got the roots. I have often, and a few of you have, I think, if not all of us, experienced a scenario. You are at a traffic light, Doctor, I'm glad you are here. It is showing you red, and somebody is busy calling you, come on. That is a stage that presets your subconscious to be corrupt. Because you are misusing the real intention. How is it difficult that we cannot organize with this advanced technology and have remote controlled traffic lights? If you want to keep it red, be somewhere, keep it red. If you want to turn it green, control it. There is a stage that we set, and then we come and say, why are people dancing over that stage? But you are the one who set it. So our efforts are like we are busy pushing back the rain. We cannot push back the rain because it has a force bigger than the one we are using. Take an example of the Nakawa quarters, Naguru quarters. How many years has that happened? That the houses were broken down and the land remains vacant. So a creative mind will think like, can't I do something here? You are misusing what it should have been. Take an example of one of the key leaders of this city that went to a gazetted road reserve and then built in there around Bugorobi Shell. Thank God he was stopped. But later on, this man was ranked as a ministerial material. That is a stage. That as you look to people, people have known you to be a joker. So they can't take you serious. So even at an anti-corruption meeting, you could have some corrupt tendencies. A receipt might have been inflated already in this workshop. And you are not aware. Why? Because there is a stage. Actions speak louder than words. There is a stage. We need to look at, for example, even look at the religious environment.
Wind up, Honorable
Okay,
Member.
fine. I do point number 3. Point number 3 is dealing with the corrupt. Thank you. You've got them, you've dealt with them decisively. But how about the others? Could it be that small thieves hang and big ones go scot-free? I don't know. How do we deal with the corrupt? We need to go back. I like the statement Doctor made, sensitization, personal knowledge, ethics, right from childhood. If I have known things the way they should be, just like the Baganda say, akacha mamamera. If something was bent from the beginning, it is going to be hard. I thank you.
Thank you.
The views expressed on this show do not represent those of NTV or its staff.